Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Sports Shorts Daily. Ronnie Rance, Tommy Chrysan here with you. Sports Shorts presented by LaBear's Casino. TK joining us over at Tremonti's Meat and Seafood in Baton Rouge. I am at an undisclosed location presented by the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame, which you go to lasportshall.com. 10 o'clock today, 10 a.m. Central Time. We start the Santa's Super 7 online auction. A lot of great sports stuff on there, restaurant gift cards, all that kind of stuff for the holidays. Go to lasportshall.com, buy you some stuff. The auction will end in 7 days. That'll start today at 10. Help support the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame. And, of course, we're presented by LaBear's Casino. What better place to watch, whether it be MMA fights or football games or basketball, whatever, than at the LaBear's Casino in Baton Rouge in the sports book. All right, TK, a lot going on. Of course, bowl season is right around the corner. Everybody's still digesting the playoffs.
Ronnie froze up on us there for a minute.
Whatever that means. He's got an ankle injury. And right now the Pels are in a tough spot. But the New Orleans Saints around the corner. Big game this Sunday in the Dome for the New Orleans Saints. The Saints are going to be taking on the Commanders, and the Washington Commanders, of course, are in action. Jaden Daniels returned home to Louisiana, so that should be a lot of fun as the Commanders come to town. Even though the Saints, for all intents and purposes, they got to win every single game the rest of the way to even have a chance to make the playoffs. And I think if they did win every single game the rest of the way, they would make the playoffs. But this is more about Jaden Daniels coming back this weekend without Carr, without Taysom Hill, without a couple of their top receivers and all the problems they have. I don't think there's any chance the Saints have a winning, but it'll be good to see Jaden Daniels back in Louisiana.
Yeah, it'll be good. A lot of people be checking all that out. Commanders have a little more to play for than the Saints, and they're 7-point favorites. So, Saints are home dog at 7 points. Be interesting to see the crowd in the Dome. I mean, Dome's going to be full Thursday, Friday, Saturday with 8 high school state champions to be crowned. And Saints Commanders, I mean, Jaden Daniels and others. So we'll see how that goes for Darren Rizzi and the Saints without Derek Carr. I mean, who did they play? Did they play Hayner? Did they play Rattler? They had a poll on X yesterday. Who would you vote for or whatever? They got a lot of votes. But anyway, so the Saints are the Saints. The Saints are only this much better than the Pelicans.
I think most people want to see Rattler play, and they believe that he's got the more upside and the potential, and they want to see him get as many snaps as possible to see if he can be considered to get some momentum going in the offseason, to where maybe you got some hope that he might be a quarterback of the future if you can't find one in free agency or find one with the first pick or first round pick.
Ronnie, I was going to bring this up, but Carl brings it up. The Houston Rocket owner had said he would buy the Saints if they ever came up for sale. That's interesting that an owner of an NBA team would come out and say, if they go for sale, I'd be interested in buying them. I mean, obviously, he'd keep them in New Orleans, obviously. But that's kind of interesting because I just don't know that the long-term thing with Gail Benson and the Saints is going to work, especially she's got some things in front of her. Does Mickey Loomis stay? Does Darren Rizzi stay? Do you blow it up and clean house and start over from scratch? And I don't know that she's the one to be piloting that plane or driving that ship down the river. I don't know. So very interesting. I would think there's now going to be some conversation between Gail Benson and, this Rockets owner, private on the QT, representatives of each will get together. And Gail Benson will still do great for philanthropic things in the greater New Orleans area, Louisiana, all over the South that she does. But she doesn't need to be owning the Saints.
Well, this isn't the first time we've heard about the possibility of someone else. And I don't know that it's coming from from anything official other than people just can connect the dots. The Saints are losing. They've got to, shake it up. They got to change it up. Does Gail Benson have the intestinal fortitude to make the hard decisions and fire those around her that she knows and loves? And, Todd Graves was a name that was thrown around as somebody who could potentially be a part of a group, to lead a group to buy the team. Tillman Fertitta now, his name comes up. Of course, Tillman, not only does he own the Rockets, but Golden Nugget Casino and 20 plus restaurant chains around the country and everything like that. The one thing, and Tillman, of course, is really the money behind the Houston Cougars football program. He has supported that athletic department over there to the tune of millions of dollars. And so, Fertitta definitely has the money to do it. And, I can tell you that from running a casino type business, he's a kind of a tight, watch the bottom line kind of guy. But anyway, you definitely would have somebody that would, keep the team there and have plenty of resources. But, I don't know. It's the reports coming out of New Orleans. And again, this is just people's opinions. But after conversations with those, internally and all that, these opinions are formed. Mickey Loomis doesn't seem to be automatically going anywhere. From what we're hearing, there's not necessarily going to be a change with Mickey Loomis. And obviously we got to wait and see what happens down the stretch. If Darren Rizzi, who's going to get the opportunity to coach this team for 8 football games, if they end up 6-2, 7-1, then he's given them something to think about. As far as, hey, do we keep this guy? Now, I'll say this, Tommy, if this dude, the New Orleans Saints have 4 more games left. If Darren Rizzi can go 3-1 with Hayner at quarterback or whoever, or Rattler at quarterback, then maybe he deserves something to think about. I mean, with no Taysom Hill, 2 or 3 of your receivers are out. You're playing with your third quarterback. If somehow he's able to win 3 of his next 4 and finish 6-2, then you probably do have to really give him some consideration. As much as I probably my gut reaction is not to want to do that, to just blow this thing up and go and clean house.
Well, and if that happens, I think you have to go to him and say, okay, you're a special team guy. You must bring in an offensive coordinator, whether to keep Kubiak, and a defensive coordinator, make a splash hire, so we can show a commitment. That loyalty thing is a very good thing in many, many ways. But if you can you afford to do this? Can you afford not to do this? And what's the best interest of the franchise? Not Mickey Loomis, Rizzi. What's the best interest of the New Orleans Saints franchise to go forward? That's the decision that has to be made. And I think under the pressure, Gail Benson will play the loyalty card because Tom Benson did that. And she, doing a lot of things and she has probably leaned on Mickey Loomis and Dennis Slauska for years now since Tom Benson passed away. For small decisions, big decisions, she's leaned on them people because she didn't know how to run an NFL football team. She knew very little about it. So she has leaned on these people. So there's that loyalty card, that's there. And that's her comfort zone is to say, Mickey, what should we do? Do we hire Rizzi or not? So it's almost going to be a Loomis question to be answered.
Well, it'd be a fun next 4 games. The New Orleans Saints don't have any business winning these games. Like I said yesterday, or when we were on the other day, maybe win 1. But if somehow they can finish 3 or 4, it'll definitely give them something to talk about. How about the game on Monday night? So the Monday night between the Bengals and the Cowboys and how it ended. But obviously everybody knows. With 2 minutes to go, looks like the Cowboys are going to get the ball back after the block punt. They're going to get the ball on their side of the field, and then their player touches it. Bengals get it. They go down and score and win the game. Immediately, for those of us that are over the age of 40, you think of Leon Lett. I mean, Leon Lett came to mind like, bam, right away. Like, God, how about this Cowboys franchise? They are cursed by touching the ball on block kicks. Of course, Leon Lett famously did it on Thanksgiving Day back in the late 90s when he did it on a field goal, and this was a punt. But the Bengals, if anybody deserved a break, if anybody deserved the bounce to go their way, it's the Bengals, who they showed that graphic, I think, during the game, Tommy. They 1-7 in games that are 8 points or less this year or something like that. like one possession games, and they're too good of an offense, too good. They've got obviously Burrow and Chase are as good at their position as anybody in the NFL, and for them not to be. I mean, they're the greatest 5-8 team maybe in the history of NFL football. I mean, find me a better 5-8 team than this Bengals team right here that arguably has, you know, Chase is an MVP candidate, Burrow is an MVP candidate, and they're only 5-8. It remind me
Well,
of the New Orleans Saints with Archie Manning and Wes Chandler in the late 70s. Great offense but still couldn't win games. Um, but it was a crazy ending, and for the Dallas Cowboys, not that they needed another fork in them or a little steak in them, you got your franchise quarterback up in the booth who's not able to play due to injury. You're watching this season go down the tank. We're all speculating, is Deion Sanders going to be the next coach of the Cowboys? If you were wondering if there was a chance, there is no chance, and that did him in.
yeah, and I think McCarthy's going to come back. There's been a lot of talk about that, but you're right. Burrow's having unbelievable numbers on a losing. It's almost like the old left-hander Steve Carlton. All them years he pitched for the Phillies, and the team was terrible, but he still won 20 games. And then look, there's a lot of good receivers in the NFL. The Rams have two of them, but for my money, Jamar Chase is the best wide receiver in the NFL when you combine his size, his ability to catch the ball, the strong hands, the ability to do something with it after he catches it. And I even watched a few times a night. He was doing a good job blocking, for Higgins when he got the catch or the running back got through the line of scrimmage. Jamar Chase is hands down the best receiver. Burrow is among the best quarterbacks. I guess you got Mahomes and Allen and then Burrow. They're all in that conversation, Lamar Jackson. But I mean, if the Bengals can get a few other things going, they'll be back in the Super Bowl based on Burrow and Chase.
Listen, Jamar Chase, I mean, like if you were to sort of draw up a wide receiver, it would be him, physically. And I mean, as long as that dude is healthy, he's the new breed. I mean, Jerry Rice was tall and slender and, ran precision routes and, had the great head fake, and all that kind of stuff, get you going one way, go the other. But and had strong hands and all that. Listen, Jerry Rice is, I mean, by many considered the greatest football player of all time. I mean, but the athlete nowadays. I mean, I was in the '80s and into the early '90s, which is now Jerry Rice finished playing football. Almost 30 years ago. Um, Now you're at a day and age where these athletes are so well trained from the time that they are little bitty. People there's just so much more information. It's like baseball players throwing harder. Why do they really throw 95 to 100? Yeah, it's just evolution of training and coaching, and we now know bioscience and how to move your body better and all that. Drink this, take that, this is when you should throw, this is how you do train. I mean, this is how you get gain that extra mile an hour, you pressure off this leg, and all the things we didn't know or have back then. I mean, at best, we had a fuzzy, grainy VHS tape in the 90s, right? Yeah, or the 80s. You had a VHS tape that you could freeze, and when you froze it, it had more lines on the screen, and you would try to analyze, yourself or your opponent or whatever. I mean, now they have so much information. We know how fast we ran down the field. I mean, it's crazy. And so Jamar Chase is now, to me, he is the bar. He is the bar of what a receiver's supposed to be, how they're supposed to look, how they're supposed to act. He is the dude. And I don't want to throw around, greatest ever and all that kind of stuff, but he's on a trajectory where it could be a conversation if he puts this together for a decade.
Well, and how much of this is they played together? Burrow and Chase played together in college for 2 years, and now they've spent their NFL careers together, kind of like a Montana Rice thing or a Bradshaw Lynn Swan. These guys that played multiple years together. Okay, that's not going to happen as often going forward because of free agency and this, that, and the other, and injury. So, I mean, I think that builds into this. These two guys know each other like the back of their hand, you know what I mean? How many balls has Joe Burrow thrown to Jamar Chase if you count, summertime, practice, all that? It's thousands and thousands and thousands. And
Right.
they're the top combo in the league now. And I mean, like you said, the trajectory is this could be something for a long time. And if they can learn to play defense and shore up that team with just a handful of other players, they'll be back in the Super Bowl.
Well, a couple things too is that they are good friends. We know the story that Jamar Chase bought a house in the neighborhood where Joe Burrow lives, so that he could be near him. And you know, they as much as they're about making money and all that, like anybody would be. They seem to be more also they're also love football and they love being great. And I can see both of them taking less money to make sure that to ensure they play together the rest of their career, and be in whatever team together. Crazy story coming out that during Monday Night Football, Joe Burrow's house was robbed, ransacked, and broken into, and not quite sure what all was taken. The reports are, but it was discovered by his girlfriend, which nobody knew he quite had. And
He's
obviously,
had her since Ohio State too. So
what's that?
they've been dating since they were at Ohio State
Well,
together.
this is a new girlfriend. This isn't the
Well,
one he had at Ohio
and
State
then
and
there was
LSU.
a bad information in the article yesterday.
Yeah, this is a new one. A Sports Illustrated model that he'd been seeing, and she was at the house and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, this is interesting. But by the way, the crazy part of this, Tommy, is it may not necessarily be. It may not necessarily be, just some cats, in town that knew that Joe was out of town. We're going to go rob his house. Reports are that the FBI knows about a South African ring of burglars that are high level burglars that use high tech and drones and jamming frequency that things and all this stuff, and have been going around the country robbing high profile people's homes and stuff. We know that Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes' houses were broken into during the Saints Monday Night Football game when they played them a few. And so this may not necessarily just be like the little local yokos down the street, a bunch of teenagers or somebody who thought, oh, I'm going to be smart. This may be some sort of organized professional kind of robbery deal. That is just crazy. It's also crazy to think that if you wouldn't have the mega security if you're Joe Burrow, and maybe he did. Maybe they jammed the frequencies. Maybe they cut the lines. Maybe they did something. We don't know all the details yet. But if you're one of these high profile players where people know your schedule, know when you're out of town, you're going to have to start hiring security or somebody to stay at your place. It's crazy.
I would think a $7.5 million house would have all that, but you're right. If this is, a high level organized burglary group, they know how to, it's like Ocean's 11. They figured out how to walk out of the casino with $160 million in cash. They figured out how to do that. Even though that was a Hollywood movie, it just shows that things can be figured out.
All right, what
How
else we
about
got
that?
going
How
on,
about that,
TK?
Ronnie? I made reference to a movie. Is that good?
That's pretty good. I mean, considering
For me,
you probably didn't see it, you just know about it.
No, I've seen that one many, 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 many
Okay.
times. But look, Ronnie, three Thursday, 3 Friday, 2 Saturday. High school football state champions will be crowned. LHSAA Network. If you want to check all that out, be a lot of fun in the dome leading up to that Saints Commanders game. LSU basketball laying low for a couple of days, but hey, it's all going to unfold, and we'll get into all that stuff. Playoffs of next week, so we'll have to, wait and see what happens on that.
So on Saturday, 3:30 is the state championship between Ruston and Central.
Correct.
That defensive coordinator for Ruston is Louisiana Sports Hall of Famer Kyle Williams. He's the defensive coordinator, former LSU Tiger, Buffalo Bill. The quarterbacks coach, is it for Ruston or for Neville? I want to say Ensminger. No, maybe it's Neville. I don't know. He was at Ruston and he left, and I think it might be Neville that he went back to. Now that I think about it, not quite sure. But that matchup, Central and Central in the Dome, first time, is going to be awesome. How about the controversy over in Central, because they have the Christmas parade scheduled for the city of Central at the same time, basically, that the game is going to be going on.
Move the parade. They can't move the game. but you can move the parade.
So that has been an argument, and the parade organizers and the committee or whatever that puts on the parade, it's a bigger deal than everybody wants to have, and so they're not moving the parade, and which is nuts. But I guess if you're in the dome, you're going to miss the parade, or if you're at the parade, you can at least watch the game on your device. You can watch it on the NFHS Network app on your phone. But yeah, so how about that? The biggest sporting event in the city's history going on at the same time. At the same time as Santa rolling down the road in Central.
Well, I'm sure when they planned the parade, they didn't say, let's check the 5A state championship schedule in case the Wildcats are in
Right.
it. I'm sure that didn't happen, but I mean, I know very little about it. I knew it would be a major task to move the parade to the next day. I know you got permits and things have been paid for a time. I mean, I know there's a lot involved in moving the parade, but if you really wanted to move it, you could.
By the way, David Semino, impressive, the head coach at Central, third team he's taken to the state championship. He took Catholic High to state title in 21. He took Catholic Point Capee in 2019 to the state championship in the Dome, and then now he's taken Central. I mean, that's a short list of people that have coached.
Well, it's he and Coach Salter Formaggio. There's two of them.
Well,
he
Frank
Monica's
another.
Three different schools.
Frank won a state championship in the late 70s with Lutcher, and then he won a state championship at St. Charles Catholic and what was the third team? The second team in the middle. I'll have to look it up.
I can look it up, but this week you got Semino and Salter Formaggio both there this week with their third different team. Salter Formaggio with East Jefferson, Hanville, and now Franklinton.
Yeah, Salter Formaggio went to the Dome, whereas when Frank Monica won it at Lutcher,
it wasn't in the Dome. The first year the Dome was 81.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that because Covenant High played in the first one, and obviously I have connections there. So 81 was, and there was only 4 games. There was 1A, 2A, 3A, 4A in 81. Covenant lost to John Ehret in the finals that year.
A little Frank Monica history, by the way. Retired in 2021, 51 years in coaching. Not all of that as a head coach. Won a state championship at Riverside Academy back in the 80s. So Lutcher, Riverside, and St. Charles Catholic. Those were the 3 teams that won state titles.
Very, very impressive.
Which I think he's the only one to win 3 state titles with 3 different schools. I think that he holds that acclaim. Obviously, we've got we've already discovered 3 coaches that have taken 3 different teams to state championship games, but I think Frank's the only one that won it. I know Semino did not win it with Catholic Point Capee, but he did win it with Catholic High. So nonetheless, super impressive. And for David Semino, my God, I mean, we're talking about he's in the Dome now for the 3rd time in 6 years, with 3 different teams. I mean, that's pretty amazing.
You try to be like JT Curtis, always playing the Dome, huh?
Yeah. So unlike JT Curtis, who spent his whole career. How about this? How about the scenario? You talk about just full circle. John Curtis and JT Curtis have been crucified for decades for recruiting players, right? I mean, we've heard that forever and ever and ever. And I'm not here to say they haven't. I'm sure they have. And oh, by the way, lots of schools have. I mean, look, dude, need I remind you that Brady James went to Carrollton High School until his senior year when he transferred to West Monroe, and and every school does it. I mean, come on. Or if you're not trying to recruit players or get better players at your school, then you're not going to be very successful. And I don't want a head coach that doesn't try to improve his roster, right? But for years and years, people have said, well, that's why they win. And the reality is that if you look at John Curtis's teams, the majority of their teams are not Division I college football players. Majority of their teams are insurance agents who, at 5th grade started working out in the weight room and running the veer offense in the 3rd grade and running that same system from the 3rd grade all the way to the 12th grade. And that's why they did so well, as they were coached and in the system and taught the way to do it the John Curtis way for 10 years, right? But people want to highlight, a handful of the superstars. Well, anyway, uh, uh, excuse me. Now we mentioned this the other day in the show. There's a possibility that the LHSAA is going to talk about passing a rule that would allow a one-time transfer to be eligible at whatever school you want. That's something that the principals are going to talk about in January. If that passes, then you're talking about 50 years of griping and complaining about, well, John Curtis does this, well, John Curtis does that. Goes out the window, and it's like, all right, nobody's got an excuse anymore. Go get it.
Yeah, no, the world's changing every day, especially the sports world at all levels, from travel ball on up to the major leagues and everywhere in between, all the sports. And we don't talk much about soccer and hockey and all that, but all that's going on with that as well.
All right, TK, tell us about Tremonti's as we get out of here.
Yeah, to get your Christmas orders in right now, prime rib, turkey, turducken. They got great turduckens here. They got gift cards if you're looking for that holiday gift. Mike and the staff will do it for you. With Tremonti's here on Jefferson Highway in Baton Rouge. Everything you need. They can cater your Christmas party, large group, small group, doesn't matter. Give them a call or stop by here on Jefferson Highway. Everything you need for the Christmas time. And again, the gift card, the prime rib, the turkey, the turducken, the ham, you name it, all the side dishes. They got everything at Tremonti's Meat and Seafood. And they got plenty of Ronnie's favorite bacon in the meat case. I can see it from here. So stop by Tremonti's on Jefferson Highway.
All right. He's Tommy Krysan. I'm Ronnie Rance. We'll see you on Friday morning for more Sports Shorts daily. Until then, please like and share this video. And don't forget, go to lasportshall.com starting at 10 a.m. Central Time. We'll have the Santa Super 7 online auction, some great stuff for the holidays. Go a little Christmas shopping and help support the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame. For Tommy Krysan, I'm Ronnie Rance. Have a good one, everybody.